Preparing.
Oh, this okay. This is
Got
being
it.
live streamed. Wow. Okay. Here we go.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, Manel.
Yeah, I'm just okay. Here I can see you better. Okay. I was seeing you through Facebook, and I rather see you through Zoom because
Okay.
there are less things. So, welcome everyone. This is Universal Healing. This is Amy Alston, and I'm Manel Casanova. The two of us, we are Brennan Healing Science practitioners, and we work with long distance. Well, we are healers, and we do the long distance healings in Universal Healing with few more healers as well. So, and I like to present you, Amy, to our audience today, to whoever sees this video now or in the future, because I'm very interested in the traditional healing, because to me, even though we have studied in Brennan, in the Barbara Brennan School of Healing, as a very advanced type of healing, I would say, to me, have always feel very natural and very, that it is not that new. That it's been always that it's a very natural part of humankind in our societies. Um, so I'm very used in my little tradition, like we have talked sometimes, Amy, that I'm Catalan, and I'm in Europe. There is a tradition in traditional healing. People that knows about the herbs, the plants, also people that have a natural connection with the energy, and they can work with the energy of the people and help them to heal like we do. And I know that you live in Hawaii and that you have a tradition there for you, and you're gonna yourself tell us what is your tradition in the healing tradition, traditional Hawaiian way, besides your training, your modern training in the States. So, Amy, can you tell us
I
about that?
can. First, I want to thank you, Manel, for
Yeah.
for this opportunity and just to talk and share our experiences and what we know. I am Kanaka Oiwi. I am a descendant of Hawaiian lineage, though I'm not born in Hawaii. Um, I am an ordained kahu, which is a kahu of Kapua Okalani. A kahu, for people who don't know, is a Hawaiian priest, in a sense,
Mhm.
someone who is a guardian of the ancestral knowledge. Um, they can be a spiritual advisor for some people. They get called in, we get called in for house blessings to preside over marriages, baby
Mhm.
blessings, property clearings, you name it. That's what we're in service for. Um, you know, when I grew up in a biracial family. My dad is Hawaiian, my mom is Caucasian. And, my dad, from his generation, they're very Americanized. So we didn't talk about spiritual experiences or paranormal experiences. And it wasn't until, later, like in my 30s, when I really started, diving into my culture and wanting to learn more, did I realize that all of these paranormal experiences, they're normal and they're natural in Hawaiian traditions. So it's easy to, when somebody talks about, like, oh, I've been, talking to this pohaku and the spirit in this, stone is, really moving me. we already understand because it's normal.
Mhm.
In the way that, you know, ancient Hawaiians and even, you know, many current Hawaiians, the way that they connect to everything around them. And um, so do I have any like traditional practices other than being a kahu? You know, no, I don't have that training. But what I've really learned to embody are um, the core values of what it is to be Hawaiian,
Mhm.
and that's what I use as my foundation. You know, values of, you know, being pono, being in alignment,
Mhm.
oya io, which is like truth, living in truth,
Mhm.
ohana, which is our family, and it's not
Mhm.
just our physical, like human family. It's our family, it's our relationship to the trees, the plants, the clouds, the mountain, the sky, the earth we walk on. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, you know, and
No, this
that's,
is, let me just say the beauty that I feel about this when you speak about the family being everything that is here,
yeah,
and the connection that we may have, because yeah, we have this more modern way of interacting with the energies from the school that we have a study, or and and at some point it just blends so well with the traditional way of perceiving life, because at the end is what is real, isn't it? That everything is alive and everything has an energy and everything is connected.
yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we see what happens in the environment when we're not connected. We see the
Mm-hmm.
pollution, we see, you know, damaging of the earth and the waters. Um, you know, and I think one of the questions that came up earlier was like, you know, why are these, you know, ancient traditions being sought after? You know, and you know what I feel is people are looking for help in reestablishing and reaffirming their connection to, you know, the elements, to the earth, to their ancestors, whatever it is for them. You know, it's like it just comes down to connection and relationship, and how do we view that? How do we relate to that?
Yeah, yeah, this is excellent. And I remember before we start the live that we were talking a little bit, and we were talking also how many times the indigenous traditions everywhere in the world, that they keep that tradition because they live for generations in the same places many times, and they're really from just from that they can really connect and root down into that space, into that the environment that it's around. And you name that, you started really looking for or understanding or having the curiosity about healing in your 30s, and that happens to me too. And I think that I was very traditional in not in my view of life, but in my presence in my area. You know, I live in a radius of 3 kilometers all my life. You know, since I was born until I was 30 some, and I was having kids and all that. But also in my 20s and 30s, I really went out into the woods a lot to do sports,
Oh,
you know. But and many times because I knew that part of the world, those mountains around me, you know, that so well, uh, that I really like it to go by myself and do things just alone. Many times I was with friends as well, but I remember those moments of going alone, like moments of connection with the tradition of the land.
so
And
can I
yeah,
ask,
yeah.
when you're going out there, were you communing or speaking with or communicating with the mountains or the trees or the forest?
Well, yeah. Thank you for the question because it's not. maybe sometimes I was doing, but I have very intense memories of certain moments. Like one time I took my daughter that maybe she was 6, something like that, and probably it was Saturday afternoon after having lunch and all that. I said, let's go to that fun, how you call it, where the water comes from the earth in
Like
English.
a spring or
A
a
spring. Yeah, let's go to that spring. I know that spring. No one goes there. I told her. And so we took the car and we went, and then I parked outside and we started this little trail. And in this little trail, there was, I guess it was this time, like now, not spring yet, but getting there. So there is these bushes that we have there, and they make this beautiful. At the end of winter, they do this. They flower in these white, very tiny
wow.
white flowers, but they get totally covered. And in that little trail, they were falling on each other, so they were making like a tunnel of
Wow.
white, beautiful flowers. But the thing is that they were full of not bees, bumblebees. Okay, bumblebees, the big ones.
Right.
And I remember this one because my daughter, though she said, well, she got scared, because there were so many. And I said, don't worry, these ones, they don't do anything. They're
Mm.
just they just want to be with you. They may be in your shoulder, but they don't sting. So let's just walk, and and we walk, and it felt to me, and it feels now, remembering that maybe I was introducing her into the tradition and some level, of being in nature and not being afraid of it, actually respecting it and perceiving the amazing beauty of, that is there and that connects with our internal beauty as well. So that, yeah,
Mm.
that is there. But tell me more about your Hawaiian tradition. I've never been in Hawaii, but I promise you that I will come sometime because I.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah.
Um, you know, uh, the Hawaiian culture is really, it's so incredibly rich in, I don't want to say spirituality. It's really, it's rich in relationship and connection. And and that to me is what spirituality is. It really is.
Mhm.
It's about how connected are we. Um, so when we talk about going outside, uh, you know, you're just instantly connecting and connected to the trees. You're connected to, the forest or the water, the ocean, the springs. Um, you know, we have, so many stories, mo'olelos, which, go back eons to, help perpetuate the culture. Um, a lot of like what has been happening. So for the Hawaiian culture, they, in the 1700s was when, the Westerners started coming to the islands.
Okay.
And so for a long period, there was colonization that happened, oppression, and the loss of identity. So many of our traditions have been lost or they went underground. So they weren't openly shared. And we're just at this point right now in time where people are really, like Hawaiians are really ready to start doing the healing work on themselves. And they're, waking up to their potentiality and their connection and connectedness. Um, you know, like the worldview for a Hawaiian is ikava mamua kava mahope, which basically means that our future is in the past.
Mm. I like that.
Yeah. And so from our connection to the past, not only do we get to learn, but we also get to maintain that our connection to our ancestors, to the ancestral knowledge that's vast. And so, if you can imagine the Ike, all of the knowledge, is in, this etheric realm, and you can access that based on your connection, the purity of your connection. Um, you
No,
know,
I think what you're saying is so important, and so fundamental for us to know where we are coming from. Gives us a solid ground where to grow, even
yes.
though we are far away, but we know who we are. And then when we know who we are, it's easier for us to keep our uh, personal identity as well, because I am who I am. I'm from this tradition, and I may be more or less connected. Now I'm far away from my land, but through that knowing who I am and my connection that I have with the land there, I can connect with the land here, wherever I am,
Yes.
because at the end is the same land. And and it feels, to me, it feels important. Important because there is a sense of uh, power that comes from that connection with the planet, and with that sensation that we are not alone. And I think that the traditional healings, energy healing or shamanism, or um, it comes a lot from this space of knowing who you are, uh, and from that you understand what you need. You understand with who you like to work, or where to go, or to be open to different things.
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah, because you are not, it's different when you don't have a sense of who you are, where you come, and all that. You this Of course, I don't know that, but I have that sensation when I was a teenager, kind of not, in denial of of my, that I guess that it's the job that we have when we are teenagers, being a revolutionary and being in denial of everything. And I don't like this. Uh, but yeah, you get into a space that it's different, is not as grounded. And so a big part of healing for everyone is to come back to what you were just saying. Go back to the past to see the future that is coming for you.
Yeah, and what's really interesting for me is as as I was going through my healing journey, meeting you know, medicine men from, different nations.
Mm,
Like there's one medicine man who really spoke to me and guided me, and his
mm,
name is Charlie Red Hawk Tom of the
mm.
Karuk Nation in the Shasta area.
Okay.
And I didn't learn this until later, but his medicine name is Walking Backwards.
Okay.
Yeah, and so and the reason being is because, in it's only through honoring of the past that can be carried into the future.
Mhm,
And, and seeing, and then coming across, in different cultures, the same, theme of, you know, our connection to the past. I could really begin to feel that as a universal truth.
mm.
Yeah.
And talking about this universal truth, I always remember hearing, and yeah, the Hawaiian people, we came to Hawaii, to the islands in, I don't know, 1,000 years. I don't know. I'm just saying, thousand. But where were the Hawaiian people coming from?
Uh, well, so that's There were, pre-colonization, pre-Westernization, there
Yeah,
were Hawaiians who had been living there for, you know, thousands of years.
yeah, yeah.
There's a huge migratory period that happened that starts all the way, in like New Zealand, and it comes through, Polynesia, from Samoa, Tahiti, Fiji,
Mm,
the Sandwich Islands, and we're navigating culture. We're a seafaring culture, and that's
mhm.
how, I mean, even from Easter Island and as far away as like South America,
Yeah,
there's, evidence that's been, found and of Polynesian, settlers there.
yeah.
So, you know, I look at all of the other islands in Polynesia, like those are our cousins. Like that's where my relationship continues to go.
Mhm,
And so we have, and it was always tradition for Hawaiians to know their moku au hau, which is like your lineage. And
mm.
when you know your lineage, so like for, Queen Liliuokalani, she could, her lineage, her moku au hau, if they were to do it, it would be 3 hours long, a chant, 3 hours long. Can you
What do
imagine
you
that?
mean? Just
So
speaking
you're
the
chanting,
names.
yeah,
Uh,
you're chanting
okay.
all of your ancestors that go back to like creation, that go back to, you know, as far back as you can go. And so it's pretty amazing.
No, no, it's great in that way. Like we were just commenting, the importance of the grounding that comes to you when you know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like and that's why like if I go place like someplace if I'm traveling like internationally, or even like within the States, I drink the water. I
Mhm,
eat the food from that soil.
mm,
Because when we do that, it wakes it wakes up ancestral memory in ourselves.
mm.
And so and it helps to connect you immediately to that place.
So, Amy, now that you're talking about that, is in the healing traditional healing way, there is a one traditional way in the Hawaiian culture, or there are different ways, or I don't know.
Well, there are like different forms of healing. So there
Mm,
are Lomi Lomi practitioners, that heal through massage. There
okay,
are, plant specialists, uh, uh, who just focus on plant medicines. There
okay,
are, spiritual advisors. There are people who can, do readings for you. I mean,
mm,
like you name it, like we've got it. It's pretty rich. But in
okay,
order to really study that particular modality, it is a lifelong commitment, because it's a lot of knowledge that's coming down, ancestrally that the person is
okay.
learning. Um, and it is interesting because I've seen, some non-natives, let's say,
Mm,
who are taught ancient Hawaiian traditions.
mhm,
But then sometimes what happens is, they have their own intuition and they begin to change the information,
mm,
which then makes it no longer an ancient Hawaiian tradition.
mhm.
And so there's a lot of that that's been happening. I don't know if you've ever heard of Huna or Hunaism.
No,
It was really big in like the 60s and 70s, maybe even the 80s too. But it was kind of like a Western viewpoint of Hawaiian mysticism. Uh,
okay,
and so it was a way for them to understand, and break down the psychology of, they call it Hawaiian mysticism, but really it's the Hawaiian way of being,
mhm,
you know. And so it's really not mysterious when, you relate to it in a normalized way.
mhm. It's
And so,
like the traditional re- religion that maybe it was tradition. Like I
mm,
don't know. I know that like in Japan, they have the traditional religion that is Shinto, which is it's a very uh, a religion that really it's very natural and shamanistic, because it's all about this. There are spirits everywhere. You know, the spirit of the trees, the spirit. You know, it's a lot like that, and I don't know. I just feel that maybe it's similar. Your
Yeah. Yeah,
tradition.
it is similar. And and I feel like right now the discernment of, because we as a Hawaiian people, we're still trying to find our identity. We're still working to reclaim our culture. And it's really hard when other people are appropriating it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so so then people get, this idea that, this particular healing, it's an ancient Hawaiian tradition. Well, it's not really. It's like Ho'oponopono, for example. Many people know it as a mantra. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, please forgive me, I
yeah.
love you, and really, Ho'oponopono is not a mantra. It's actually a very detailed, systematic approach to forgiveness. And it's making right the wrong that was done between two people. And,
Hmm.
like when you really learn about it, there are, I think, like 13 or 14 steps. And like a real Ho'oponopono session can take days at times. It's nothing that you go in for an hour and boom, you're done. You
Okay,
know?
so yeah, yeah. No, I like that, because what do you mean that it takes days? That it's a ceremony that keeps going until something happens, or
Well,
it's or one session, or one person goes to a healer that does Ho'oponopono, and then they do one session, and then another day another one, and the result of it happens in several days. I don't know. Is
Well,
that what?
and it's really about making right the wrong between, it could be between two people, it could be
Yeah,
within a family system, and
yeah.
traditionally it was done only within the family,
Hmm.
when people were feeling that they were wronged,
Yeah.
and so you have multiple parties who are involved that all have to come to the same intention to find resolution.
Okay, this is great, because because you're right. Here, the Ho'oponopono, it's known like this, like a little mantra that you say, that it's powerful if you really allow yourself to be very present with the meaning of
Yes.
what is being said. Uh, but I remember one time I was here in South Dakota. I'm in Colorado, but in South Dakota with a family of Lakotas, and they were a family of medicine people. And we went into that ceremony, and it was exactly what you are saying. There was We spent the whole night in a teepee with fire, and with the plant that they use in their tradition, to that it's a, well, I guess I can say it. It's peyote, and and I'm an energy healer, so I can feel. And what it really does, what I really perceive, is that it opens the heart. So everyone in that tipi that we were, maybe almost everyone was family, but the maybe 12 people, let's say, and everyone everyone there was a moment that opened the heart, and there was all this, and it was to bring healing to a relationship between the father and the son. Okay, and it lasted the whole night, and in the morning, everyone was good.
Yeah, yeah.
But what you said, it just and I think it's such healing way in tradition uh, to find resolution of conflicts, that maybe now in the more modern world that is not as traditional, we would go to see a lawyer or wherever, you
Yeah,
know. Yeah. But yeah, it feels so good. Yeah. Yeah.
it does. And it's like I relate like the whole Opono process to it's like doing a group process on steroids,
Mm.
really. And in the Hawaiian traditions, we're steeped in protocol. We have protocol, for everything that we do.
Mhm.
Um, and for me, like it's very rigid.
Mhm.
I don't like that much rigidity.
Mhm.
Um, but there are different reasons for protocol. These rituals that are done, like pule, like praying. These rituals are done for the facilitator, or whoever is, whatever work you're about to do. It opens the space, the sacred space. It brings everybody into hara. And
Yeah.
so, like Hawaiian traditions, we don't talk about hara, but we talk about being connected, where everybody just you can feel the grounding that begins to happen as the space is being opened. And so this is where I take my learning, of like Western healing, from Barbara to like just kind of experiencing both,
Mhm.
like Hawaiian
Mhm.
traditions and what I'm experiencing, what I've learned, from book knowledge. Um,
Do you think that your studies in the Barbara Brenner School help you to open up to your tradition? And
Absolutely.
mm,
Absolutely. Because I mean, you spoke earlier about uh, not having the, or, the denial of our culture at times. Like in my 20s, are you kidding? I did not want to be considered Hawaiian at all.
mm,
Like, I didn't, like I spoke with good English. I
mm,
wore, like nice clothes, and I didn't want people to know that I was Hawaiian. I never talked about it. Um,
mhm,
Going to, following my own path of healing, uh,
mhm,
what, what I've learned and the healing I did began to open up my channels, my energy channels, so I can
mhm,
understand my connection. And then it was just like my two like worlds, as separate as they felt at one point in my life, they just began to overlap, where I understood why I was having this experience, or why I received the information that I do, or why I have such a connection with plants or trees.
mhm, mhm,
um, and I don't know that I would have come to the place where I am now without having gone to school.
mhm.
I know everybody's different, but that was really what I needed for me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
in my years in the school, I've seen many people coming and going, and we all have our own story, isn't it, that brought us there. And I guess the world, now it's different than it was in the past, even though the many of the traditions are still alive, and but we have gone into a I would say different dimension of the traditional world that we are talking about, with technology and with how is it to travel and how is it to move to other places and all that for the last decades or the last century. Uh, so we that at some point hear or felt the call for to explore who we are in this way, that um, yeah, maybe it was not available for us in a traditional way, and we had to find a more up to date kind of a school that opens us to, like you said, all the channels that we have, and actually it ends up connecting us with the tradition that we all hold. and going to universal healing at
Yeah.
the same time. It feels it feels that it's a new way. It's a new way of bringing healing into the world, but it doesn't feel that new either for me, at least. It feels like healers working together to bring energy healing to others. Of course, there is many things that are new, and the technology helps that you can book and all that stuff. But um, yeah, it really feels very traditional many times to me when
Oh
we are,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it feels like to me, it feels like a prayer circle
Hmm.
or yeah, it feels like a prayer circle when we do these group healings.
Mm.
Because that's, that's basically what it is. We're praying for the health, of, you know, all
Yeah,
the attendees
yeah,
and, in such a way that it's individual, yet it's unified, you
yeah.
know. And so, and I absolutely love it. I love participating, receiving and giving the healings. um,
Yeah, me too. And I love having you, and I mean, I love everyone that is with us, and I love the people that will come when to receive and to give, because yeah, it feels. I mean, I really like this conversation with you about the tradition, because it tradition of the world, because it feels so important in this moment, uh, to understand who we are. I know that we've been taught and all that we are almost an accident of nature, that uh, come from descending from apes and all that. But when we do the healings, when we explore, we go into those multi-dimensional spaces and all that, and we are such an indivisible part of everything of the universe, um, that many times to me it's hard to that we are evolving and we need to evolve more, because in those states, or when we touch the like this coming weekend, we're going to do the healing to the divine connection, and the divine is not
that
out,
this
it's
weekend?
not out there, it's everywhere, but it's in us. It's this uh, I mean, I don't know what the Hawaiian tradition says, but I I know that when we work with the fifth, sixth, seven levels, we can feel what it means, the divine energy, and we can use it for healing and for
Yeah.
connection, and that is everywhere. And when we go to the Hara, we are aligning to bring that initial impulse, that initial intention to create something, to create ourselves and our experience, and it comes from that beyond divine energy, that it's our core essence,
Yeah.
our core star, that it's the same energy, that it's the fabric for everything, that at the end it's uh, well, I was going to say love, but I'm going to say it's love with big letters, that it have much more than just what our idea of love is usually.
Right, right.
Mm.
And so believe it or not, the Hawaiians, we do, they did understand the energy field in a way um, not as detailed as, say, Barbara, or
Mhm.
like what we've learned.
Mm.
But they like they could see and feel, like our Aka cord. So we talk about cords on the fourth level. Um,
mhm,
you know, we have these Aka
mhm,
cords that connect us to our ancestors, that
mhm,
connect us to our descendants, that go all the way back. It's a silvery cord that, that connects us. And in parallel with our mo'olelos, the stories, we have a creation story. And the way that it's so beautiful because everything is born from the realm of Po. Po is the darkness. It's like the
mhm.
black velvet void of potentiality.
Yeah.
And so we're born from that.
Mhm.
We're not created
Well,
because
that's beautiful.
when we say that we're created, it's actually a separation of
Yeah.
something from, from its origin. But we're born. We're born from the coral polyp. We're born from, and that's where all the animals, every plant is born from. And so that story and the way that it's worded is to remind us of our connection to Po, where we were born from, to which we will return. And yeah, I kind of got lost over there in Po for a
No,
moment.
you know what just happened. You know
What?
what just happened. I just had a deja vu of the two of us talking about this. That I think I had a long time ago in one of the killings that we were together, and I don't know if I mentioned it to you or not, but that we were talking. But I just saw, yeah, these things happen. Huh?
Yeah, yeah.
The-
And so like, why are people seeking ancient traditions? I mean, they've been seeking them for, you know, you know, for years and years and years. You know, I feel like there is just this beautiful connection when you meet an indigenous, traditional healer that you can feel it in your bones. That what they speak, it resonates with an authentic truth.
Mhm.
You know, that you just
Yeah,
can really
yeah.
appreciate.
I think in this moment of healing, and there is so much traditional healing being search and find, and of course all the new branches are growing also everywhere. But this, I think it's great. I'm not a very uh, well. In my personal path, I'm going to say that I'm, to me, do plan medicine ceremonies and all that. That I think is great for men. I think it's great for people to be able to explore the the reality that usually they cannot explore in their daily life.
Yeah.
So it opens up and many times opens up energetic channels that then become accessible for you and all that, and connects you with, it may connect you with the tradition of the planet, with the plants, the rocks, the minerals, the insects, the animals,
Oh
everything.
gosh.
You feel that you belong to everything and everything is in you and all that. I think that is great. And I think it's happening a lot because many people is searching for to find. We are we are doing okay. I think that we are, as humans, we are doing a step into a new direction, and many people needs, when we talk about healing, sometimes it's, oh yeah, I got a cold, so I need to get better, or I got something and I need to heal that. But many times healing is just energetic healing that needs to need something. Many times it's to move, to open up, to flow, to allow the flow to be with you and to happen, so you can, when you move forward in life, that the energy is helping you instead of keeping you down. So I think this is happening in many people in the world, and the traditional ways are helping. And I know that there are many traditional ways that are not based in plant medicine ceremonies, and but they help. Yeah, they help you. Anything that
I
helps
totally
you to
agree.
connect with who you really
Well,
are.
to
Yeah.
connect, but like for me, like the experience of plant medicine was really helpful in breaking through so many of the limiting beliefs
Mm,
that, had become embedded in, for me growing up. Um, and when you begin to access through the plant medicine these multiple parallel dimensions,
mm,
um, it just opens your whole world view up to the possibility of,
mm,
so much more than what's in this tiny head, like and so it's absolutely, it was helpful for me. I know it was, I know other people who can share a similar experience.
mm,
It's not always helpful for everybody.
yeah.
Um, and there are different ways of doing plant medicine. There are tea ceremonies, and it's really like what my understanding is it's connecting with the essence of that plant.
Mm,
And then once you have this formal connection that is, created and maintained, through our quantum field, through our, we can connect to that plant wherever we are in the world.
yeah.
And for plants, you might see, let's say a particular fern in Washington.
Mm,
And you can go across the world to South America and you'll
mm,
see that same fern. But the plants, through their own energetic, communication, that plant in South America will recognize you
mm. Okay.
because
Yes. Yes.
you
Yeah.
know,
I like that.
I,
Yeah.
and so when we begin to open ourselves up uh, and reestablish those kinds of connections,
Mm,
the information that comes through, it's tremendous. I mean, like the Dogon tribe in Africa, they knew that Sirius was a binary star system hundreds of years before astronomers did.
mm,
But how did they know that? They didn't have a rocket. It was through their connection to the ancestral knowledge.
yes. Yes. I it this is exactly what I mean when I'm not sure if the theory of evolution that we are evolving to, it's a real thing or it's just an idea that sounds good, because the ancestral knowledge it's have already proven in many of our cultures in earth to be way superior to what we are studying in the universities now. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Uh,
it's
yeah.
tremendous, and I just want to thank you for just allowing me to share what little I know and some of my experiences.
Yeah.
You know, am I a cultural practitioner? Um, in a very clear sense, no, I'm not. Um, I don't have, the protocol, of a particular modality, but that's because like the path that I've forged is, my path, but it is grounded and rooted in the values of the Hawaiian culture. And I feel like that permeates and kind of like overrides anything that anybody does, like any tradition,
Mm,
are the underlying values of that tradition. And you can feel when someone's not in alignment. You can feel if, their heart's not open, and that's that's the work, is to do our own discernment.
Yeah.
And then, how do we embody it? Aloha is, it's not just hello and goodbye. Aloha is also a description of love, of unconditional love. When we, remember our connection to everything as family, we have that aloha.
Mhm.
And so right now, kind of like I don't want to say it's a buzzword, but like kapu aloha, it's the spirit of reciprocity. You know, we have a lot of people that come to the islands um, who just check out, and they have no, you know, the reciprocity of what they receive. It's all about money.
Mhm.
Like, oh, I'm going to pay for that experience, um, but that's not how our culture is. And so right now it's an interesting time to see how, all of these different woundings are being triggered, and how it affects the collective. So like, we talk about ancestral, it's a vertical type of healing, but then when we talk about the collective, now we're spreading this out to encompass a much broader scope of healing.
Yeah.
So, but maybe that's for another call.
Yeah, my intention is to keep doing calls here and there, just talking about healing, because it's what we know and it's what we offer in universal healing as well to the world. And it's my pleasure to work
Yeah.
and to talk like today with you and with all the other practitioners when we work together, because it's such a beautiful experience for us and for most of our participants as clients, that when we receive feedback, most of the time is just pretty amazing, like having, like we were saying, openings and stuff, the recognition of self, feeling, uh,
Did
yeah.
did I hear you right that we have Divine Connection coming up this Sunday?
Yes, divine connection.
Yeah. And I'm on that one. And I'm actually really excited because um my husband surprised me with a trip. So we're actually going to be in Tahiti.
Oh.
Um, well, no, so I'm excited because when I connect, when I'm there in Tahiti and I connect with my ancestors,
Mm,
wow, it is like such an impactful experience for me. So I'm just
great.
excited to, bring that into the healing on Sunday.
Is Tahiti the same time zone
It
than
is.
the?
It's the same time zone.
Okay, okay, perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
You know that sometimes we get into the time zones fancy that, but yeah, okay, great, and it's
Yeah.
yeah, we'll do that, and we'll we'll keep enjoying working this way. And uh, like maybe everyone knows here, you, Amy, you work as a private practitioner. You are an excellent healer, and you do your thing with your personal clients, as I do myself too, and then we do together with others the universal healing. So thank you very much, Amy, for this beautiful conversation, and I'll see you soon. And thank you for everyone that have been listening or that will listen in the future. And here we are. The world is moving.
Thank you, Manel.
Thank you. Bye.